Udlakut tungmasagutsi koyanami kaigun nakapsi. Good morning and thank you for being here with us. We're going to get started right away for today's press conference. We will start with remarks from Nunavut Tunngavik Vice President Paul Irngaut, who is also the chair of the Infrastructure and Housing Advisory Committee for Nunavut Tunngavik. And then we will take questions from the media. But first, I'd like to introduce the group here today. Starting from this side, we have Nunavut Tunngavik Chief Executive Officer Kilivak Kabluna. Here we have Vice President Paul Irngaut. And behind me is Inuit-led Inuit Association Vice President and also a member of the Infrastructure and Housing Committee, Lawrence Utukiak. Beside him, we have Vice President of the Inuit Association, also a member of IHAC, Mamena, Levi Barnabas. And we have here two project proponent members, Anne Raphael from Nukik Corporation and Heather Shilton from Nunavut Nukik Sautit Corporation, who will be able to answer any technical questions on those two projects. So without further ado, I introduce Vice President Paul Irngaut.
Tungasitiara titabunga matakwa kungyatu tungasitiarlit khobesitatu kutamalikata. Good morning or good afternoon, I guess. Before I go to my opening comments, how about those Toronto Blue Jays? Pretty awesome team, and because in the old days, my parents, when the first explorers started coming up, we were considered savages. So today, we want the government to say yes. So yes, savage, from the Toronto Blue Jays. So thank you for being here. My name is Paul Irngaut. I'm the Vice President of Nunavut Tunngavik Incorporated, an organization that represents and advance the rights of Nunavut Inuit, under the Nunavut Agreement. As indicated, I am also chair of the NTI's Infrastructure and Housing Advisory Committee. It's an honor to speak with you today about what real nation building looks like in the Arctic and how Inuit are ready to lead it. Canada's strength in the Arctic depend on Inuit security, mobility, and self-reliance. For too long, Nunavut has been expected to grow without the same basic infrastructure that every other region in Canada take for granted. As you likely know, it bears repeating. Nunavut has no fiber line connecting our communities. We only have one port across 25 communities, each an isolated diesel island with overcrowded homes and unsafe conditions that push people out of school, out of work, and too often out of our territory. This is not destiny. This is a product of choice made outside of our territory. And Inuit are here with better choices on the table right now. Together with the government of Nunavut, Inuit have laid out 4 shovel-ready projects that will give Canada the Arctic presence it talks about. These are not just abstract projects, they are lifelines. The Irngaut deep sea port will cut sea lift costs, grow Canada's GDP, and create full-time jobs. Today, hundreds of millions of dollars in the Arctic fisheries are offloaded in Greenland. The Qikiqtarjuaq deep sea port will keep that value in Nunavut and in Canada. It also fills a major gap for the Canadian Coast Guard, which has no place to refuel along the Northwest Passage. A deep-sea port in the Qikiqtarjuaq brings safety, sovereignty, and opportunity for all. Second, the Inuit-led hydroelectric project will replace diesel with clean, dependable power that will lower the cost of living, cut carbon emissions, and support new infrastructure development, including homes, training spaces, and health facilities. Paired with a northern operational hub, it will make Iqaluit a true Arctic operations center that is resilient, affordable, and sustainable. Third, the Kivalliq hydrofiber link will build physical and digital connection, becoming Nunavut's a physical connection, making Nunavut a physical connection to southern Canada. With hydropower from Manitoba, alongside terrestrial fiber, it is a bold investment that ends diesel dependence and digital isolation. It means telehealth, online learning for our youth, and that Inuit and Inuit culture can thrive in a digital world. Finally, the Grace Bay Port and Road and Port supports Coast Guard, search and rescue, research vessels, opening up the region to develop critical minerals that power Canada's clean energy transition. Together, these Inuit-led projects will lower the cost of living, create stronger families, and give Canada real presence and readiness in the Arctic. When projects are designed by Inuit, for Inuit, they succeed because they are built to last. Our approach is simple. Keep revenues and returns in the territory so they fund the next generation of homes and training. Train people where jobs will be. Build apprenticeships into every contract and measures that matters, including Inuit employment, Inuit services, lower energy costs, and safer communities. Our ask to Canada is clear. Formalize this partnership, fund these 4 projects, Inuit-led projects, to construction, align training and procurement with the Nunavut Agreement, and make Inuit Crown mechanisms permanent and properly resourced, so that progress isn't dependent on election cycles. We can build Canada's future in the Arctic together. A safe harbor in Qikiqtarjuaq, clean power in Iqaluit, a fiber-connected Kivalliq, and year-round road and port in Qitamute. This is what sovereignty looks like. It means affordable power bills, reliable broadband, and youth that can study and work where they grew up, in Inuktitut. It means a Canada who can move, sustain, and defend itself in the Arctic. The cost of waiting is higher than the cost of building now. We ask Canada to do it with Inuit, do it with the Inuit institutions. We will build Canada, a stronger Canada, that will last for generations to come. Queen Leming.
Paul. So we will open it up now for questions in the room. If you want to introduce yourself, your name, who you're with, and then also who your question is addressed to.
Sorry?
Paul.
I wanted to ask, NTI, obviously Article 12 of the Nunavut Agreement is very precise in terms of what the Nunavut Impact Review Board's responsibilities are. I'm curious what conversations NTI has had with the federal government with regards to how Article 12 applies in the context of Bill C-5 that was passed earlier as far as the review responsibility, particularly the parameters around having reviews done within 2 years, because I'm sure, as we know, the Nunavut Impact Review Board, getting 2 years done for a major project is ambitious for the NIRB.
Yes, totally. That's why I mentioned that formalizing this partnership with Canada, with the federal agencies. We've been meeting with them all week. And we've been meeting with ministers, so we need to have that formalized. And we have what's called the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee. That needs to continue. And these is a way forward to get these projects going and discuss the regulatory process in place that we already have under the agreement. So any project that is brought up will have to go through that process.
I guess, what kind of meetings are you having this week with ministers and MPs?
Sorry?
What kind of meetings are you having with ministers and MPs this week?
We've been meeting with we just met with the safety minister, public safety. We've been meeting with the Cernak minister and other ministers. My staff have been meeting with them as well, and Kulibak will say some more.
To your question on the review, I think it's really important to mention that these are Inuit-led projects. And what that means is our constituents, we care about what they think before we bring a project forward. 2 of the projects already have been submitted for environmental review. And also in Nunavut, we have a unique situation where there is already a one-window approach to environmental review. And so we are in a unique position in Nunavut where these projects can be accelerated with already having included Inuit perspectives and making sure that the projects meet Inuit needs.
Natasha Walewski, Canada's National Observer. This question could be for anyone. I'm just wondering a bit more about, as you're seeking this partnership, do you have certain expectations in terms of federal funding for these projects, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Canada is an Arctic nation, but it doesn't see itself yet as an Arctic nation. And what that means is we have done an infrastructure gap analysis, and it shows that across all measures, infrastructure in Nunavut is non-existent, under repair, or not to the standards that other Canadians have and expect. So when it comes to these projects, the government of Canada will need to do a little bit more. It's not like down south where you can truck in supplies. There's higher costs to work in Nunavut because of the existing infrastructure gap. So we expect Canada to meet us there. We're really excited about the meetings that we've had this week. We have had very good conversations about, for example, long-term leases and other types of funding that might be available. And our understanding is that these projects will need to be seen differently than other projects in Canada because of the infrastructure gap in Nunavut.
And with that in mind, I know that cost estimates change, but do you have sort of a ratio in mind in terms of what the federal contribution would have to be in order to make some of this possible because of that gap?
Yeah, each project's different, and it depends on the types of how Canada sees itself being involved in them. So, for example, the ports, if there is a large contract that supports the military, then we could be looking at a different type of financing, whereas the other two projects can speak for themselves.
I have a question just on the port pitch for instance. I'm just wondering if you're finding it difficult to pitch a port project to the federal government, considering there's already the Churchill port on that second tier list of major projects. Also, given the fact that the Churchill port happens to land in the backyard of the Northern Affairs Minister.
Do you want to answer that one?
Sure. I'll answer that. Yes, we already had meetings with the government of Manitoba, and they've made available 50 megawatts of power. Even though the port in Churchill is being built, that's still in the south. It's not in our territory. So with these two ports that we are proposing, it will help align the need for refueling for Coast Guard and also the sea lift for our communities, and also for the military if they want to patrol the Northwest Passage, which is happening to have more and more traffic from foreign vessels. So those ports will help with that.
I guess my question is, in your discussions and in your meetings with the federal government, have you found it difficult to have them accept and be open to the pitch for a port and kick, considering there's already a port project on the table for the MPO to consider? No, it hasn't been difficult at all, because the government is really looking at the Arctic. And like Kalibak said, and I said, we're an Arctic nation. But the government has to realize that, and we have to be part of any development that's happening in the Arctic. And no, it has been very good discussions with the federal ministers. I'm losing it.
Sakatitian sukatela tamakua sakatageri pekotuan takua gamatakut ukaltakati katakluti tamakua sakapalda kugatiut tamakua sloglu kiwal damitain nukik sautin aktu karong nil nukik sautin aktu takua truck topic said tawa nakitong muni amak kikitasuan tamakua ukasakapalda tikut tamakua government of Inuit,
If there are journalists joining on Zoom, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function. Si des journalistes se sont joints à la conférence de presse sur Zoom, s'il vous plaît, utilisez la fonction main levée si vous avez une question.
You have any questions for the proponents?
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci. C'est ce qui conclut cette conférence de presse.
Thank you.